Welcome to the Middleton Annual Town Meeting. In a New Hampshire tradition, if John, could you open us up in a prayer?
Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day, this country that we live in, this wonderful town, for all the people that live here, pay taxes here, and serve fellow citizens. We thank you for this opportunity to get together and to exercise our constitutional rights to vote for budget items and different things like that for the town. Help this day to go well for everyone, keep everyone safe. Ask Lord for our fire chief who's got a baby on the way soon, that all goes well with that today and everything that's related to that. Mom and baby be very healthy. In Jesus' name, amen.
If I'm sorry? We could. Is there anybody that has access to the upstairs? I know what to do. If somebody can give me access, but I don't know if anybody has access up there. Is there anybody from the school district here, like custodian?
The custodian's down the other end of the hall.
You want me to do that, everyone? You want to turn the fan off? I need more than just a couple nods. Is that a yes? Okay, hold on. All right, they're going to work on it. In the meantime, if we could all rise for a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a couple of safety items. Just in the event we need to evacuate the building, there's an exit sign here, exit sign here. There's a cleared pathway that'll bring you out into the parking lot. We also have this exit sign over here. We also have, I believe, I didn't verify, but is the AED still up in the front here? Okay, so we have an AED out front. How many people here know how to do CPR? Awesome. I might go down. Just want to be ready. Joe, I know you're not going to be a hand in that, but just to keep things moving along, is there anyone here from the trustee of the trust funds? Janet? Could you have ready, because I know a lot of times people ask about, how much is in the capital reserve, but if you could have that, readily available so we're not searching until we get to the answer, that'd be wonderful. Thank you. And is there someone on the budget? We have the budget committee members down here. If you could just keep a tally of what's been voted on to raise and appropriate, because I believe there's an issue with if the legislative body here chooses to go up to 10% over the proposed budget, I think there's a cap relative to that by state law. So I just want to keep a track of that.
The trustees reports on page 62 of the book.
Okay, thank you. What else is there? Introductions. Myself, Ken Gary. I was just appointed deputy moderator. Your moderator is Laura Parker, but she's not able to make it here today, so I'm deputy moderator for the day. If we could go down the line on introductions, starting with you, Scott.
Scott Ferguson, police chief. Been your police chief since January of 2025. I'm Jeremy Wheeler, I'm the fire chief. I've been here since last year as well. Dan Phillips, road agent and resident.
Sierra Parnell, Budget Committee.
Patty Sindorf, chair for the budget committee.
Tim Kremen, chair for the select board.
Mark Fruck, legal counsel, not a resident.
Roxanne Trustee, select board.
Tracy Donovan Lavalette, Vice Chair for the Select Board. Paul Gamian, Select Board, also the liaison to the Budget Committee.
Michael Green, I'm on the select board.
Thank you. And Do we have any non-registered voters in the audience? If you could raise your hands so we're aware who is not a registered voter. All right, Mr. Manchester, that's it? All right, thank you. I am going to pause here for a moment because there is a reason why I'm up here. Everybody's accustomed to seeing someone up here for a number of years, and that's Jack Savage. And I'd be remiss not to mention him. I can say that Jack has been serving the community here in Middleton, to the best of my recollection, since 1995. Actually, he and I were on the ZBA together. Jack has served as on the ZBA, chair of ZBA. I believe he's on the planning board. He may have been chair of the planning board. He's been a selectman. He's been our moderator for a number of years. I did this one time after Don Lehman left, and that was years ago. And I think Jack filled the position of moderator ever since, if I remember right. Yeah. And Jack, if you want to think about a man, if you want to think about Americanism, that's Jack. I personally witnessed him take a ballot and pen and walk outside to John's late mother, who is on the opposite side of the aisle, and hand her the ballot in the car so she could fill it out because she was unable to walk into the building. That is a very strong statement of someone's character and who they are. So I'm going to ask, for the record, by a round of applause, whether sitting or standing, how appreciative you are of Jack Savage. Who's taking minutes? Who's doing the record? Roy? If the record could show that we had a standing ovation for at least 20, 25 seconds. Thank you. How many people have not been to a town meeting before? All right. Basically, we're going to read the articles. We are going to, I'm going to ask for a motion. Someone's going to make a motion. It's going to get seconded. And that's going to allow us to start having a discussion on the warrant article. There's going to be a lot of discussion. People can make comment. There can be amendments made to it, etc. And eventually there'll be a full round vote. Does anybody do we want to hear about what the election results were relative to warrant articles? Okay. There's a lot of them here, so you're going to have to bear with me. How about school district? Would you like to hear the school district first? Anybody want to hear about school district? Okay. Let's get that. There's a few articles here. Hold on. So there were two school board positions, and Samantha Martell had a vote of 225 votes against 7 write-ins. The other school board member would be Sierra Parnell, who received 215 votes to 4 write-ins. School district clerk was a write-in. Nicole Wright was 17 votes. School district moderator was 64 votes, was Valerie Burke. School district treasurer, Linda Adamo had 157 by a stand. You're not doing it. So Roby James was a write-in with 47. School district deputy treasurer is Bethany Mills with 36 votes. Relative to the warrant articles themselves, Article 2, which is the budget, the overall general budget, was a yes with 183 to 118, and that would be the budget committee's proposed budget. Article 3 is a no. Article 3 was relative to the hiring of a teacher, and that no was 216, no 82, yes. So that did not pass. Article 4 is relative to the Special Education Trust Fund. for a sum of $100,000. That was a yes, 191, to no, 107. Article 5 is relative to the Bus Capital Reserve Fund. That passed as well with a yes vote of 212 and a no vote of 81. Article 6 was another yes for 207 votes yes, 86 no, and that's relative to the Trust Fund for Construction, Renovation, Repair Fund. And that's the school district. Townside. Selectmen. There were 2 positions, 2 3-year terms. Timothy Kremen with 187, Jonathan Sindorf with 153, Rick Washburn with 56, but the first 2 I mentioned are the winners of the selectmen's position. Town clerk, Roy Parise with 246 votes. Budget committee, Jason Sharp with 49 votes, and that was for a 3-year term. Budget committee for a 2-year term is Jonathan Duggar, and that's with a vote of 8, and that's because Jason Sharp is already elected to the 3-year position. I'm assuming he's taken the 3-year position. Okay, so that he's not taking the position of the 2-year, so that leaves Jonathan Duggar with the position for the 2-year term of budget committee. Town moderator, as noted earlier, is Laura Parker. Valerie Burke was actually the winner of that, but did she withdraw from that or not want to do it? I take it. Valerie Burke has 8. So she took the school moderator position. Okay, so that left it down to Laura Parker. Supervisor of the checklist. I'll pause there a minute. Introductions. I didn't have you guys introduce yourself. The supervisor checklist, the ones who tally our votes and keep a register of everybody properly recorded. Andrea Bowden and Linda Adamo. So supervisor checklist, Andrea, you're back on for a 4-year term.
I got 4 and 6, so
And then I see supervisor checklist here. And Andrea, you pulled it off for the 6-year term as well. So obviously you're not taking that. But there's a tie vote here for Carol Gaffney, Linda Adamo, and Tracy Laviolette.
And I wasn't running because my term has not ended yet, so.
Okay, so you're not a candidate for that position.
I was not, no.
Okay, so is Carol Gaffney in the audience? No. Okay, so. Okay, so that'll have to be resolved. Trustee of the trust funds with 191 votes, Janet Kalar. And I think that is it relative to the actual elections. On the articles, the selectmen were busy this year. Article 2, this had to do with a tax cap, rescinding the provisions known as a tax cap that was adopted in 2022. So there no longer be limit on increases to the recommended budget and the amount to raise by local taxes. That did not pass. There was no rescission on that. Article 3, to see if the town of Middleton will vote to decrease the size of the select board from 5 to 3. That did not pass. There was many proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance. Number 1 was relative to the adoption of amendment number 1, proposed by the Middleton Planning Board, amend Article 5A base zoning district uses, Sunrise Lake District, to add paragraph 5, delineating the maximum height of fences to 48 inches. And that passed 143 against 140 no votes. Next one was in favor of adoption of Amendment 2 as proposed by the Planning Board. Amend Article 23, family compounds, to be rescinded in its entirety. That was a yes with 145 yes and 131 no. Next up is the next adoption was, are you in favor of the adoption of Amendment number 3? Amend Article 35, appeal to add. There's a number of items here. I'm not going to go through. Yes, 171 to 91. So 4, amend Article 20, Housing for Older Persons, to remove the words, "The number of full-time residents of a single dwelling unit in a residential community approved under the article shall not exceed 3. That passed 154 to 119 noes. Number 5, relative to housing for older persons, parking in residential communities qualifying as housing for older persons, a minimum of 1 space, off-street parking, not to include garages, shall be provided per dwelling. That was a yes, 174, 97 no. Number 6 is regarding accessory dwelling units, to rescind and replace section C through E entirely and replace with a number of statements here, and that was a yes, 170, and 91 no. Number 7, again, relative to accessory dwelling units, that passed with a yes, 177, with no being 80. Number 8, again, accessory dwelling units, that passed with a yes, and with 82 noes. Number 9, again, accessory dwelling units, was a yes, with 176 and 89 noes. Number 10, relative to base zoning districts, and I guess basically revising the lettering of it by the sounds of it, yes, 147 and 115 noes. Number 11, relative to base zoning districts, multifamily dwelling, that was a no with 133 against 131 yeses, so that did not pass. Number 12, relative to home enterprises, home-based daycare, that passed with a yes, 184, with 83 noes. Number 13, again, relative to some special exceptions and regarding nursery schools, daycare, that passed with a yes, 157, with 104 noes. Article 14, relative to base zoning districts, looks like about frontage relative to Class 5 and Class 6 roads and private roads. That passed with 153 votes to 95 noes. And that was it. We're on to Article 4, which convenes here at the town meeting. So I'm going to start off with Article 4. Good?
Before we start,
Sure.
so I just want to put out there that for all the articles that are in here that we're going to vote on today, because the town has a tax cap, we are under the tax cap from last year. Last year's budget was $2,777,178. This year, what's proposed is $2,660,129. We are under the tax cap by $117,000 and under last year's budget by $62,595. Just wanted to see what we know.
Okay. So basically, we're really close. We're under the tax limit, the tax cap, but we're very close by amount of how much? $62,595.
So we're less than, this year's budget is less than that.
Okay. Okay. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $829,736 for government operations. The Selectmen recommend $829,736. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. A majority vote is required. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Joe Bailey? Second. Janet Kalar? Discussion? Questions? Wow. Now, but if, for the record, if you could state your name and if possible, if you're able to come up to the microphone, please do. If you're not able to come up to the microphone, I can walk to you and I'll share my microphone with you.
John Quinn, I just had a question for the selectman or whoever would like to answer what it seems to have increased last year. Just want to know what we gained and lost. Just from the line items, just curious to know why we want to vote for this amount this year.
So the questions you're asking, what increases there are by line items?
Well, just an overall general, I mean, we're just getting a number, $800,000 a lot. What are we getting out of it?
Okay.
So I can speak to some of this, under the personal administration, that number is increasing, and primarily that's due to the insurance. Our insurance premiums went up 12%, along with our property liability and whatnot, that went up, I think, around 15%. That's the bulk of it. Just seeing how much changed. Planning and zoning went down slightly.
That answer your question, John? Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Would you like to vote? Okay. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of a sum of $829,736 for government operations. The Selectmen recommend $829,736. This article does not contain appropriations containing special or individual articles addressed. All those in favor by a show of hands. Those opposed? I would say the article passes unanimously. Council, I've got a question. Is there any requirement to read off every single line underneath this article? Okay. Just make sure we're doing things right. All right, Article 5. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $545,688 for public safety operations. The Selectmen recommend $545,688. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. A majority vote required. Is there a motion? Joe Bailey, second. Janet Kalar. Discussion? Questions?
Actually, this should be amended to, make motion to amend it to $570,680.
I'll second.
570,000.
It's what's, yeah, it's in the book that's under the budget, and didn't get put into the article correctly.
The Budget Committee's number.
So the budget committee number should have been 500, yeah, so that's.
So we're going to, so the article should, in the narrative, should read $570,680.
Right, sorry.
Okay, so that motion was made by Roxanne Tufts, seconded by Bonnie. All those in favor of amending Article 5 to read in the narrative $570,688, please signify with a raise of your hand. Thank you. Those opposed? Amendment passes. Any other discussion? Questions?
Good morning, Heather Kremen. I just wanted to know what figures were actually on the ballot, because I noticed this in the book that the Budget Committee recommendation was the 570, but the ballot article. Sure. I just wanted to see what figure was actually on the ballot for the Budget Committee recommendations, because in the breakdown in the article in the town book, it says 570, but in the actual verbiage of the ballot article, it has the 545 for the Budget Committee recommendations. So I just want to know what the people voted on.
I believe that what the amendment was to make that correction of 576.88.
So it was incorrect on the ballot.
Correct. That is correct. So we just
Okay.
voted on amendment to make
Okay.
that correct.
Thank you.
Scott Burks.
You got one over there, too, man. You have a microphone over there, too.
Well, speaking as a resident right now, I just have a question on the varying numbers, and if somebody could just clarify, I see that it looks like, potentially with the change, if that might be rectified, but I see a varying between the selectmen and the budget committee as far as the MS services, and I was just wondering if somebody could speak or clarify that.
questions or discussion? John?
John Quinn again. I see that it's been increased from last year, for all departments except for emergency management, and we lost county dispatch. Has that been moved to another one? And what is the reason for the increase for the budgets from last year?
On the fire and EMS side, the increases are primarily payroll and fuel. As we have been responding to more of our own emergencies, we're using more fuel. So there was an increase in our fuel line. And then as far as payroll goes, we have more firefighters and EMS providers now, so especially trainings and stuff on the fire side. We have more people in attendance, so it increases our payroll there, and the increases, again, in the EMS line are just increased coverage for the ambulance.
Any other discussion or questions?
I was gonna say, do you want me to speak to the increase on the police side as well? I noticed you said safety, so. Fair enough. So the increase on the police side was a couple things. Part of it wasn't necessarily an increase. We took some line items that were traditionally under the municipal budget that were more a police-related expense. So basically that funding was moved from the municipal budget to the police budget, so that was one of our increases there. And again, I wouldn't necessarily classify that as an increase. It was just money moved from one budget line to another where it's more appropriately should be located. And then the other one is our full-time line, our full-time police line. It shows an increase. What we did last year was we knew our staffing levels, we knew where we were at. And with me coming in as the new police chief, we knew how long it would take to ultimately backfill vacancies. So it wasn't like if I came in on January 1, we were gonna be able to fill those vacancies January 1. So with working with the budget committee and the select board last year, we reduced that full-time line to help keep the town budget last year under the tax cap. And basically, we're just looking to bring that line back up to par now that we are adequately running and hopefully fulfilling those full-time positions.
Any other questions, discussion? John?
County dispatch has been moved around. Is it somewhere or not?
Yep, just the dispatch line is now actually located under the police budget. I can actually tell you exactly what line it is like. So the Stratford County dispatch line, which is formerly the 429991, was actually moved to the 421070 police line.
Any other questions or discussion? You want to vote? Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the budget committee's recommended amount of $570,688 for public safety operations. The selectmen recommend $570,688. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. Majority vote required. Let's try a voice vote on this. By a voice vote, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Article passes. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the budget committee's recommended amount of the sum of $459,028 for highways, streets, bridges, and street lighting operations. The selectmen recommend $459,028. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. A majority vote required. Is there a motion? Janet Kalar, is there a second? John Quinn. Discussion, questions? Wow. I'm sorry? Did you hear that, Dan?
I didn't, but we Same numbers as last year, and I would have to guess it's probably the block grant, because that changes every year.
Any other questions or discussion? You want to vote? Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $459,028 for highways, streets, bridges, and street lighting operations. The Selectmen recommend $459,028. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. A majority vote required. By a voice vote, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes unanimously. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $317,036 for health and welfare operations. The Selectmen recommend $317,036. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? Joe Bailey, second. Janet Kalar. Discussion, questions?
I'll speak to the reason of the increase that John's gonna ask. Most of this has to do with the solid waste collection. So the increase for this is due to the solid waste collection. We entered a new contract with Casella this year.
Does that answer the question you didn't ask, John? Okay.
5 years?
No, it's 5 years, yeah.
Joe?
Is that contract for 5 years and locked in at this price?
No.
No.
So they can jump at any point?
It is gonna go higher.
It can't, it's gonna be a gradual increase or whatever, but it's not like, I would think it's gonna spike.
No, it's not, it's probably gonna spike unless we add a lot more residents.
Right, unless we have, in some of it's a tonnage, like on the bulk pickup, if all of a sudden, you know, we had an increase, but that's all by weight, so.
But I believe we do get billed out by the tonnage, don't we, even on
Yes.
the regular pickup?
Yes, we do.
By tonnage and gas price.
Yeah.
Any other questions, discussion? You want to vote? Okay. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $317,036 for health and welfare operations. The Selectmen recommend $317,036. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. A majority vote required. By a voice vote, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The article passes unanimously. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of $1,801 for culture and recreation operations. Just going to pause there, it's just a written typo.
Yes, I'm gonna amend
Okay.
that.
The Selectmen recommend $1,800. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. Majority vote required. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Joe Bailey,
Second. Name, please, Joshua Ford.
Joshua Ford.
I'm going to make a motion to amend that to be $2,000. Based off of what's down below, the beach maintenance of 1,400 and the patriotic of 6.
All those in favor of amending this article to read $2,000 instead of $1,800? Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The amendment passes. Any other discussion or questions on this article? You want to vote? Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the Budget Committee's recommended amount of the sum of the sum of $2,000 for culture and recreation operations. The selectmen recommend $2,000. This article does not contain appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed. Majority vote required. All those in favor by a voice vote signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Article passes unanimously. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 for the purpose of road construction and paving of various roads in town. This is a non-lapsing appropriation pursuant to RSA 32:7, Section 6. It will not lapse until the road construction and paving is completed or December 31st, 2030, whichever is sooner. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? John Quinn,
I'll second.
Tim Kremen, second. Discussion on Article 9. John?
So we all know money's going less and less. How much can you do for $200,000, Dan? You guys doing great, but,
As much as last year.
okay, that's good. We appreciate it. Any priorities, which roads are gonna get the
We're looking to improve Silver Street, New Durham Road, and then once the construction gets done on building the houses on Pinkham, that'll be happening, so
Okay.
priority-wise, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Joanne Koski. I would like to mention that my husband and I are, I guess what you'd officially call senior citizens at this point. Being that, I'd like to request that people who do come up here to speak into the microphone so that we can hear you. We'd really appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion on this article? Do you want to vote? Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 for the purpose of road construction and paving of various roads in town. This is a non-lapsing appropriation pursuant to RSA 32:7, Section 6, and will not lapse until the road construction and paving is completed or December 31st, 2030, whichever is sooner. A majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes unanimously. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Highway Department Vehicle Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Majority vote required. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Joe Bailey, second. Okay, thank you. There he is. Town clerk's gonna find you right after this. Discussion, questions, Article 10. Joe?
How much is in the fund now?
Janet?
As of December 31st,
$56,499.97. Joe?
Dan,
Yes.
what's the equipment like now? Where are we at with it?
Well, right now, the next thing I'm looking to purchase would be a new excavator with the mulching head, the one that we rented. The majority of that money is gonna be coming from the block grant. So we have a 2-year span on the block grant. Last year it was 65,000. This year we'll probably anticipate 60,000 or close to it. With the 56 that's in there and the trade on the existing excavator that we have right now, they offered us 40,000 for it, which is a fair market price on that for the year and the condition. So that's what we're hoping to do with that.
other questions, discussion? Do you want to vote? Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Highway Department Vehicle Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Article passes. I know what's wrong. We don't have Lenny Melanson here is what's going on. Is that it? Article 11. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $13,000 to be added to the reevaluation capital reserve fund previously established. A majority vote required. Is there a motion? Janet Kalar, second.
I'll second it.
Roxanne, second. Discussion, questions? Do you want to vote? Oh, John?
Sorry, I'm not normally too loud. I just want to know when the next revaluation is and whether we're ready for it, financially.
Yeah, so our next reval should be, I think, in 3 years, John, and what we do is this account, we set it up to pay, to fund it every year for 5 years, so when the bill comes in, we're able to pay it. We split that, what the cost is gonna be over the 5 years, and each year we put it into the CRF, so.
And if I recall correctly, that 5-year iteration is a state law requirement.
Correct.
Any other questions or discussion? You want to vote? Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $13,000 to be added to the reevaluation capital reserve fund previously established. A majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be added to the self-contained breathing apparatus capital reserve fund previously established. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? John Sindorf, second. Joe Bailey. Questions, discussion? Joe?
Chief, is this money paying off the units we already have, or is this for future replacement?
This would be for future replacement, just putting some money away so that it lessens the burden when we do have to replace them. The projected replacement of those is 2032.
You all set?
Dave Mayer, resident. What's the current number of units? Right,
We have 12.
12. In your opinion, is that enough?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. All current certified?
Correct. Yeah. Flow
Good deal.
tested every year.
Because I know in previous years it was questionable of how many and of course the certification. But
Yeah, we have 12 and they're all flow tested in certs.
Good deal. Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks for you guys do.
Any other questions or discussion on Article 11? I'm sorry, Article 12. Want to vote?
Yep.
Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be added to the self-contained breathing apparatus capital reserve fund previously established. A majority vote is required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The article passes. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be added to the natural or man-made disasters capital reserve fund previously established. A majority vote is required. Do I hear a motion? Joe Bailey, second. John Quinn. Discussion, questions? John?
We should go to more meetings.
John, next, why don't you get your chair, just pull it out.
I need my steps. I know I'm shy. I see we have about 20,000 in the capital reserve fund, give or take. So this is not a major increase. do we have enough for, you know, a reasonable predicted disaster? Well,
I don't know what a reasonable disaster would be.
well, I mean, the last one was like the floods of 2006. We've had snowstorms, ice storms. You know, we've had a lot of things. And would this cover it for the town?
So a lot of times what'll happen if we do have a big disaster like that, FEMA would step in. We'd make a request to FEMA and write a report and then try to get some monies back from it. But it has to be declared an emergency in our section in our county. So if the county gets declared that it was an emergency situation, flood, whatever like that, then we'd be able to write a report, get the report in, which we've done in the past, and it just didn't reach the threshold to receive any money for that, but we did write the report on some flooding and stuff, so hopefully, knock on wood, we don't have to do that, but in that case, that's what we would do, is write out a report and put in for our time, materials, and all that stuff to help pay for things like that, with culverts and gravel replacement, pavement replacement, stuff like that.
I'm only asking because I'm not doubting the local response. We do it excellent. It's just Hurricane North Carolina had no money because there was no money left. DHS and FEMA has not funded, so there is no money. So,
right.
God willing, we get a disaster, it's on us for the moment. I mean, I'm not wishing it, but just want to make sure we're prepared for. I don't want to reach out to anyone. We can take care of ourselves, be nice, but I get it. Appreciate that.
Joanne Koski. One thing I can say about this town, and it's why we moved here, it's the people. There's really not any way you can prepare for most emergencies other than insurance, saving money, doing the best you can. But I can say that there have been some emergencies in this town for people, and I've seen the people step up and take care of it. I've seen men go into the woods, cut wood, chop it, split it, and deliver it. I've heard of people having problems with their heating systems, and I know at least one person in here has stepped up, replaced boilers, replaced heating, fixed roofs. One gentleman had a hole in his roof from a storm. Neighbors stepped up, put a tarp over it, took care of everything for him until the insurance could step up and help out. This is Middleton, and we love it.
Just, you know, I think John brought up a good comment. Historically, I recall the ice storm. We had, I believe this fund was in place, and we certainly exhausted it. But I believe the selectmen, correct me if I'm wrong, have the ability, I believe there's, you know, monies or funds left over that's how we actually pay for some of these things in the interim. So it's not like, unless there's no additional funds available, but can you comment on that?
Yeah, so if we have money in the regular operating budget that we can use, we will certainly exhaust that. And then we would look to the CRF. But I mean, we've been fortunate enough that we haven't had to do that. We certainly do look at what money's available, what doesn't get spent, and if we can utilize that to pay for something that's needed.
And just to comment on what Joanne said, I recall it, what was it, 97, 98, somewhere around there? That happened?
Dating us now.
But the fire department was driving around because we had people with medical issues, whether it's oxygen. They were driving around with a generator and energizing buildings, you know, houses, you know, one by one, just to get it, you know, revitalized. So I agree with what Joanne's saying. Any other question, discussion on this Article 13? Thank you, Randy. That $1 fine discussion you seem kind of quiet now. Okay, get that 20 ready. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be added to the Natural or Man-Made Disasters Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be placed in the fire department rep vehicle capital reserve fund previously established. Majority vote required. Majority vote required. A motion, please. John Quinn, is there a second? Jim Cremens, discussion? John?
I think he's gonna ask a question I won't ask, so I'm gonna wait.
I see we had a large amount taken out last year, so what is the status of our vehicles, chief, and what's the next one we hope to purchase?
We're in very good shape for apparatus at this point. With the new engine in service, the next vehicle to be replaced would be the forestry truck, and I don't foresee that for about 10 years.
And just for clarification, is the rep intended to say replacement?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? You want to vote?
Yep.
Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be placed in the fire department rep vehicle capital reserve fund previously established. Majority vote required. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The article passes. I have to read the article for what it says. I can't. You guys must be testing. I think you guys throw this stuff in there.
Well, we need to make sure that there is a majority vote.
Okay, I guess. To see if the town, Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Public Safety Complex Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? Joanne Kosky, seconded by John Quinn. Discussion, questions? Joe?
How much do we have in that reserve now?
In that capital reserve?
Janet?
53, 245, 66.
Any other questions or discussion? You want to vote? Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Public Safety Complex Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Article passes. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Medical Equipment Capital Reserve Fund previously established. A majority vote required. Is there a motion? Roby Plord? Roby?
I'll second it.
We're gonna, yeah. What was your position now? What did you get elected to do? Okay. People are gonna remember your name. Trust me. Questions, discussion? John? Any questions or discussion on this article? It's an open floor. Move the vote? Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Medical Equipment Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $37,640 to be added to the Highway Department Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Representing the amount of income received in 2025 from the cell tower and said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised from taxation. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? John Quinn, is there a second? Roby? How's that?
I'm gonna make a motion to amend this down to $35,690. It was overstated by $1,950.
$35,690.
Correct.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Tim Kremens. All those in favor? Is there any discussion on that amendment? Joe?
There was an additional $1,950 deposited into the cell phone tower account that wasn't cell phone money. It's been reallocated to the current line.
$35,690.
Why does it all go to the highway department? Why don't they split that up between all departments?
Because when it was originally set up to go to the highway, it just has never been changed by the board. This was set up by Roger Maines. I'll look to you, Joanne, when we started collecting the money for the cell phone, but that was how that was set up, is to fund for a replacement.
I don't know if they work on, they do something that they earn, why don't we split that up between all departments?
It's just never been discussed. It's never been brought up.
Would the audience like me to give a little background?
Yeah.
Yes. Boy. John, your name in for moderator next year. But then you won't be able to ask questions. Point of order taken, that is correct. We have an amendment on the floor to revise the amount to $35,690. Any other further questions or discussion on that? Would you like to vote? All those in favor of amending the article from $37,640 to $35,690, please say aye. If you so agree. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the amendment passes. Okay, would you like a little background, because I have a little bit of insight on this.
Yes. Please.
So, Roger Maines, who was a former resident selectman, was very influential in getting the cell tower push. However, they needed a location to put the cell tower. The property that it resides on right now used to be school district property. School district owns approximately 60 acres or so, and through a lot of discussion, what the school district did is they sold a 5-acre lot to the town for $1. And throughout all that discussion, the other purpose of that 5 acres, not only the cell tower, but to take the highway department and relocate it down out of the town square here, just to get it off the Middleton corners here. So the whole discussion back then was, okay, the cell tower would be on that same 5 acres, would be a good revenue source, because there was a lot of discussion about building a highway department. I think it was like $1.5 million or something that failed. Everybody felt it was too much. But in the interim, everybody said, well, how could we fund this highway department? And that was one of the things that came out of it. It's totally up to the legislative body here at some point if you want to change that.
So you're saying the idea behind it was originally to build a highway complex?
Yeah, on that 5-acre.
Okay.
How many years has that cell phone tower been paying us so far?
No, off the top of my head. Joanne, do you recall?
See, I think originally that was the discussion, but those monies did not go into the fund. It went into the general fund because it really, we couldn't, the selectmen couldn't just do that. But there was a discussion of doing it.
Joe, you have
got codified.
information on that?
Joe?
Back when all this was taking place, that money was designated, the highway department at some point we moved down there like that, and that's where that money was always designated to go to. After I left it being selected, I think somewhere along the line, some of that changed. But originally, it was that cell tower money was supposed to be just for going into this fund.
So that's kind of the backstory to it. But again, so the fund was created that way. But again, it's up to the legislative body. What you want to do. You are the legislative body, just from a civic standpoint.
I'm understanding this correctly. That money was essentially designed to put in there when they moved to use that money, because they get every
So, so there has to be a
How much money do we have
vote
in
by-
there?
There has to be a vote to take that money out of that fund for the said purpose of the fund. That would go through the trustees of the trust funds. Janet?
He just take general monies as the rent for the cell tower and put it into the capital reserve fund. It has to go to town meeting, and then town meeting approves it, and then they give me the money and I put it into the fund.
So, she explained it correctly. This is monies that go in the general fund, but there's been, for lack of a better term, almost like a gentleman's agreement of such, to take out that cell phone tower income into this fund of putting together the Highway Department Capital Reserve Fund. Jim?
No.
I'm not sure exactly how long ago, but,
Can't hear you.
I'm not sure exactly how long ago, but probably 8 months ago or so, I went to the Highway Department, went to the Board of Selectmen and requested to set up a committee to look into adding on to the highway garage. I intended to do that quickly, but we've had a injury at the Highway Department. We've been shorthanded for almost a year now, so didn't get a chance to set it up. But the thought process behind it was we've got equipment outside, 2 new trucks that, it takes a big toll on them being outside versus inside. So we felt as though a steel building, 4 bays, practically, pretty much double the size of the building, would get the highway department situated for the foreseeable future, probably 20, 25 years. And given the money that's being generated, we felt as though it was probably doable. But, we wanted to involve, different people from the community. More heads are better than 2, for sure. And hopefully, come springtime, we can get that going and get working on it. How much is in there now, Jen? Yeah, so it's,
I'm sorry, say again? One more time?
$138,071.17.
Thank you.
So it's not like we haven't been trying to work towards it, it's just, we just haven't had the people to get everything done and moving, but.
So it sounds like what you're saying is not necessarily a building down there, but.
Exactly.
I'm
Well,
not sure
yeah,
how the fund reads, but.
That's why a committee would be better. Our feeling is, the winter operations part especially is so fluid. We've always got stuff in the way. I mean, you saw election day even trying to function. Our feeling is if you had the fire, police, and the town offices all in one building with us in the middle of a snowstorm, we may be better off to keep it up here. And that's the type of stuff that we want to explore.
Well, if you're going to be stuck in...
Janet had her hand up.
I believe that decision was made, I think it was 2015. In reality, we've only been depositing the money from the cell towers maybe 5 years. We had to wait till it was all up and running. But it was, I believe it was approved to go into the building fund for the highway department in 2015. If my memory serves me right, but I am getting old.
Yeah.
So, but that's where it's going, and the intent was for a new building. That doesn't mean it probably couldn't be used to upgrade what they've got now, but I believe the intent was for a new building.
So it sounds like maybe a revisit to what the language of the fund actually said. To
Right.
make sure that how we use that money
Right, you'd have to
would
go
be an
back and
appropriate
look
thing
at
to do.
where it was originally approved. Like I said, I think it was 2015 in that general area.
Joanne? Then I'll get to you, Tim.
I know this was a project that was really near and dear to Roger Main's heart. I would like to speak to some of the infrastructure in the town. We've done a good job, I think, in helping out the fire and ambulance by allowing them to park 5 vehicles in a 4-bay garage. We fixed that at least somewhat, and that still needs some work too. Those guys still need showers and other facilities. The highway department, I remember a time when the salt shed collapsed on them. And they've done a remarkable job. If you've ever been over to the highway department, you know what I'm talking about when I say that they're crowded. If you haven't been there, go take a look and see how they managed to fit those huge trucks in that tight little building. At some time in the future, it might be a good idea to revisit where this money goes. But for now, I think it fills an appropriate need for the highway department.
Tim?
I was going to actually say much the same, that I think that for the moment, leaving this in the highway department is a good idea. The only thing I guess I would wonder about is, instead of adding on to the existing building, we start looking into what it will cost to create the new building down in their location, down in the spot they was originally intended for. I mean, the comment was made that we saw what it was like during voting, with not only, some people coming in, but with the highway department trying to fulfill their functions as well. If we're going to continue to vote in the old town hall and we move the highway department down to that area, then that would alleviate a lot of the parking and traffic issues.
John? And then I want to move back to the question.
This started years ago. They were talking about moving departments around. If the highway department moved down to Ridge Road, where they hoped, fire department moving the highway garage to upgrade, and the deluxe accommodations the police have would be upgraded too. This sounds like a perfect opportunity to reinvest in our capital improvement plan. The planning board is going to review it in the next couple of years. So we ask all departments, and this includes the town and the school, to put together their wish list and their plan list, capital numbers. And of course, this is not a must-do, but this is a thinking about. It's important. That way we're not surprised by the town meeting. We have a plan, and of course we all know the plan might not work. A lot of plans don't. But yeah, if anyone would like, the planning board is going to be open up the capital improvement plan and the master plan. I'm on the planning board, so I get to enjoy those meetings. But
When does the planning board meet?
planning board meets every second Thursday at the Old Town Hall. We have plenty of space for audience.
Everybody's always invited.
And if anyone's interested, we have 1 seat on the board open and a couple alternates. And I know the budget committee's a little sparse. Conservation committee's sparse. I think every committee could use a little bit of help. Now, if you're tired of the same old people making the same decisions, or the same people talking in front of town meeting, I get that. But we got jobs. Now, they don't have any pay. You might lose some meetings, some meeting nights. I know Roxanne loves going to at least 3-4 meetings a week. But we could use the new ideas. There's no right, there's no wrong. You come, we can train you. You don't have to be an expert in zoning, state law, legal, construction. You don't have to have any expertise. All you need is have the will to make this community a little better, keep it the way we like, hopefully keep things reasonably funded. We know that doesn't work, but yeah, so I would invite that. If we're going to take this discussion to the next level, why don't we put it in writing, and then we could hopefully make better decisions in 5 years.
Absolutely.
Assuming that everything hasn't changed then. But that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, I want to bring this back to the question that's on the floor. Thank you for the marketing approach on filling seats and the self-deprecation. Anyways, So, back to the question at hand, and this is about the appropriation of funds. Any other questions, discussion on this article? Joe?
I have to really ask a question of everybody in the room right now. Are we really serious about doing this? I've done this when I was a few years ago. Done the whole program, building cost, everything, bank loan, everything. And we're still talking about it. If you're really serious about it, you're talking about an $8 million building. Putting $35,000, this is nothing. We're all gonna be dead by even coming close to half of it, okay? Is this a serious discussion, or should we just say, like, just live with what we got, and stop doing this? Because it's never gonna happen.
I will speak that that's the reason I voted down the public safety complex. It has been voted down by the people many times, so I just think it's a waste. Just put it in the general fund. But who knows what the public will want?
So right now, what's in front of us is the amount to raise or appropriate
Dan.
these funds. Dan?
I just want to make one comment. The existing building is basically a pole barn, no frost walls, no piers under where the support beams are in between the garage doors. That's why we were looking to do a steel building with piers, one that's going to withstand a snow load and all that. Just to know, just so you guys all know what we have over there. It's basically a pole barn. You could have a truck back out of there that's that close to, with the wing backing out with the mirrors. You could rip one of those down and that whole building could fall down. So I'm just telling you, to put the fire department in there and all that, that's why we were looking to just put an addition on the other end with the bays and upgrade the, keep it low budget. So that's my only comment.
Janet?
This money has to go where it was designed to go to. There's no question. But it has to come to the town meeting solely because it's a check given to the town or written out to the town for rent. But it's designed to go into this account.
Okay, so back to the question. You ready to vote? Okay. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $35,690 to be added to the Highway Department Capital Reserve Fund previously established. Such sum representing the amount of income received in 2025 from the cell phone tower and said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised from taxation. A majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The article passes. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be used for ZBA, Zoning Board of Adjustment, legal litigation fees, and with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised by taxation. Majority vote required. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Tim Crimmins, Janet Kayla seconded. Discussion, questions, Article 18. Heather Crimmins?
Good morning, Heather Kremen. How much have we incurred for legal fees so far on the zoning side?
For this particular litigation, it's roughly over $30,000.
And we're only involved in one current litigation on the zoning side?
Correct.
And how much do we anticipate 20,000 being sufficient to cover? Because I asked that at the last meeting.
We've reached out to legal and asked them what they would anticipate, and we actually added a little bit more, and it came in, so we are going with the 20,000. So that's based off of their recommendation back to us, and then us adding, I think it was like $5,000 more just to be on the safe side.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? Ready to vote? Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be used for ZBA, Zoning Board of Adjustment, legal litigation fees, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised from by taxation. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $80,000 to replace the gas tanks, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised by taxation. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? John Sindorf, seconded by Roby. Everybody doesn't know you by Roby. Okay. Discussion, questions on this article? John?
These are the gas tanks at the DPW, and what are the conditions? Obviously, it's enough to be on the paper, but what if we say no?
If we say no to this, the very least we were planning on doing and we have to do is put in a concrete pad, which is in the neighborhoods of $30,000. So that's to bring us within compliance. So what that is basically a concrete pad that surpasses the longest hose by 10 feet, and then it has the grooves put in it similar to the gas station, and that's to maintain a spill. So if anything happens to the tanks, as far as pumps going or whatnot, in order for them to work on those, they have to be with a certain type of tank, which they are not right now, but they are grandfathered. So we have those tanks inspected annually from GAFTEC, which they have passed, but as they have noted that if anything happens to them, they can't legally work on them the way they are right now unless we get okay from the state. But like I said, at the very least, we're going to need the concrete pad.
Tim?
So I guess my question is how long have they been out of compliance or unable to be worked on? Do we know?
Whenever the codes were changed. So
okay.
whenever they were put in, I've only been here for 5 years, but whenever they were installed, they were within code back then. And well, I was going to say maybe Chief can talk to it, but there's a certain the electrical and stuff has got to be a certain distance away from the pump, from the tanks. The pumps do. So that's
not that now, right?
No, as we sit right now, we're grandfathered. Like I said, the only thing that really needs to be done is the concrete pad, which we had planned.
And what's would the concrete pad be?
That's going to be around $30,000.
Okay.
You two put me in a tough position, so I'm going to go to Joe Bailey.
So I gotta, again, ask the question like that. That was all paved last year or so.
Yes.
Why was this not taken care of then?
Because what you usually...
So, there's a concrete pad over there now. They cut the lines in like that. That was supposed to be able to help do containment if there's a spill. And now we paved like that. Now we have to tear that up and redo it again.
No, there was never a concrete pad there before. It was a berm.
Roxanne?
So this 80,000 is for the tanks and that, for the tanks only, in that replacement of that such? The slab is included in the old town hall paving. We still have the money to pay for the pad. So the concrete pad is going to come out of the money that we had raised for the old town hall paving. So this is to replace the tanks that, like Dan stated, that if something is to go wrong with the tanks, they come in, they're not going to work on them because they're not up to code. So this is to be proactive versus reactive. So if something does happen and they come in and say, we can't work on the tanks unless they're replaced, and I don't know what the replacement entails, like the whole situation, but that's what this warrant article is for. And just to let you know that station is used by highway, police, school, and fire and EMS.
Jim? And we'll go over here.
Yeah, so I was the one working on this with.
Okay.
Jim?
Could you kind of
You come
speak
up.
up?
Could you please?
Well, Joanne.
I don't want to get chastised by Joanne.
I'm apparently louder than everybody else.
So I was tasked with working with Gaff Tech. Chief Ferguson was also involved in it. He was there, and his department uses some of the fuel, so he met with the fella. What the issue is that the standard had changed for fuel storage, and it's now required that you have a double-walled tank to store your fuel in. Ours is a single wall. What he said was, and of course, Gaff Tech inspects our tanks. They also are the only show in town, basically, that does that type of work. So of course I asked him, well, you guys come out and inspect our tanks every year, and we were never flagged for being in non-conformance. He didn't really have an answer for that. He just said, if a pump should fail, we can't replace it. So that's where we're at. Now, you can remote mount the pumps. I'm not sure if it was 50 or 100 feet away from the tank, but you could easily see what type of problems that would cause. You know, as far as the buses have to get in there. So the most economical way right now would be to replace the tanks. As far as the pad, we reclaimed the parking lot, so all the pavement was gone. We had a paved berm, which is substandard. The standard now is you're gonna have cement with the containment cut into the cement pad. So we were gonna have to do that anyway, and the proper way to do that is to pave it, cut it, and that becomes your form. And we're gonna do that, and I believe that money has already been approved. So the pad will be taken care of. We have the money for that. As soon as the ground's thawed and Matrix can come up and do it. It's the tanks that we're at issue with. As far as being grandfathered, he didn't say grandfathered. He said that somebody like the fire chief could call over to DES and request a waiver to be able to change out the pump, to give us time to get the money to replace the tanks. That's where we're at. Hopefully that clarifies it.
So it was brought up a few times at the select board meeting, we discussed it, correct? That the pumps need to be replaced. There was an issue with them, that they were, not, got oversight from the last time they were told that there was something wrong with them. There are other options, I did look into it a little bit, won't go into great detail, but direct diesel was one of the options, where, as if we replace the ones that are out there right now, we own them, right, correct? Those are our tanks, we maintain them, we pay for the pumps, we pay for the nozzles, we pay for the hoses, everything. You go to direct diesel and do a rental auction, they drop off a tank according to whatever size our town needs for diesel and fuel, and they own it. They maintain it, they have card readers that do each department, they give all the printouts of who's using them, how they're using them. And it would take, I don't know the exact numbers, it's been passed along to a couple people to look into, but the longevity to pay it back would be like 3 times what we're asking to dump out right now. So by the time we pay these tanks off, that we're giving them 80 or 100,000 to fix, we're gonna need to replace them again. They're gonna be out of date. Fuel tanks now are not like they used to be. Now it's always updated. So we replace these tanks now, and in 20 years they could be outdated again, and we're doing the same thing. Whereas we can look into direct diesel or other companies, which is an example. They come in, they drop it off, they maintain it, it's a double wall tank, can be put anywhere. We can move it from that
location down to the salt shack, if that's more convenient for everybody with more room to turn around, alleviate the traffic we just discussed at the town hall. Right, it gets everything out of that area, and you open up that much more parking when we get rid of them two banks right there.
Jason?
I'm on the select board, so I would love to know who you shared that information with, because I have not heard any of that. It would have been nice to get that before the warrant articles went out. Who did you share that information with?
You share that information with me as well, but
So it wasn't passed on
the
to
warrant article had already been
All right,
published.
hold on.
It wasn't passed on to the rest of the board.
The warrant articles had already been published.
Okay, I'm just saying you haven't shared that information with the rest.
Haven't had a chance yet. It was recent.
Any other questions or discussion? Joe?
Are we locked into a gas tax, or is this open for bid?
I guess your question is this going out to bid? Is that what you're asking?
It's gonna be going out to bid.
The money hasn't been approved yet.
But if the monies were to be approved, would it go out to bid? Is that what you?
It's not, the article does not state who the money goes to. The article doesn't state who the money is going to. It just says it's allocating $80,000 for this project.
Has there been any discussion to move it from its current location? Or was it to put it right back where it was?
There's been no discussion with any of the users, which again is the police, the fire, the highway, and the school.
John?
I think it'll need to stay where it is because of the 30,000, correct, coming from the town hall paving. You know, if it were to be moved, that wouldn't, we wouldn't be able to access that money for that, correct?
Correct. We wouldn't use the money from the old town hall paving to put in a cement pad in a different location.
Joanne?
So if we vote, Joanne Kosky, if you didn't get that yet. If we vote and approve this money, then it's for replacing the gas tanks. And then if we go with the direct diesel instead, is this money still accessible for that change?
Yes, our legal counsel just told me that yes, we can.
So we do know that we have to do something. We do know that we have options. If we approve this money, it can be used for either situation. And I would leave it up to the highway department, the other departments that use the gas facilities, and the select board. It would be up to those in authority to do the wisest decision for the town.
Just one comment. I just want to look to you, council. And I don't need to be legalistic, but if this legislative body does choose to appropriate this money, I have a concern with DRA reading this. What it says is to replace the gas tanks. Probably a more appropriate description would be fuel storage tanks, because we're talking gasoline and diesel, am I correct?
Yes.
So I just don't want to have a problem with DRA. I don't know, what are your thoughts? Just looking for your advice.
Fuel storage tanks would be more descriptive of the scope of what you're looking to do.
Okay. Because my own concern is if the intent of the legislative body is to pass this, and someone wants to get legalistic at DRA and say, oh, it's only the gasoline tanks. In actuality, I think we use mostly diesel. So I'm just putting that out there. It's up to the body to decide. John?
So
What?
I'm gonna make a motion to amend gas tanks to fuel storage tanks.
Okay, that's a motion.
Motion.
Seconded by John Quinn. Does everybody, so any discussion on that?
My concern is that you're still talking about tanks. I would put in tanks and/or system, so that if you're going with a tankless system, you're not limited. Just my thought.
So,
Fuel storage system?
fuel storage system.
Tanks and system.
So we could just say fuel storage system, would that be appropriate? So that's the amendment. That's the amendment.
Okay, is there a second to revise the amendment. So Linda Adamo is going to second that. So it's going to be fuel storage system. Any other question or discussion on that amendment? All those in favor of amending the article to remove the gas tanks to a fuel storage system, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The amendment passes. Back to the article. Any more discussion or question on the article? Thank you, Randy. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $80,000 to replace a fuel storage system, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised by taxation. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to add to the existing expendable trust fund for the purpose of treating milfoil and other exotic aquatic species, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised by taxation. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? John Quinn, is there a second? Janet Kalar, discussion? Kate Bizard?
I'd like to amend that article and increase that amount from $5,000 to $8,000.
Is there a second? There's a second for discussion by John Quinn. Discussion.
Okay, we have about $10,000 in the account right now, so adding 8, we had 20 last year. I'm just curious to know why we need 5 or the 8, and how the milfoil is doing. Is it that bad that we need to up it, or is 5,000 enough? I'm just curious.
Hey, come on up and speak
Yeah.
to the microphone.
So what was the question? He wants to know why we got to increase it? Is
Yes.
because normally we don't treat every year, and last year in 2025, we treated with, I forgot the name, Soliquil, and they also did diver harvesting, but we got a new person at the state level, and she wants to do diver harvesting in 2026, so that was not anticipated, so you need the extra 3,000, so we have a little wiggle room. But the good news is we did get the 50% grant from the state, so we're only going to be responsible for half of that. So it's going to be about $9,000 for this year. And in order to have money for 2027, just a little bit in there, that's why I wanted to increase it. Because if we didn't increase it, according to my math, and you can check my math, it would be $739. So that's all. That's really all. Any questions? No?
Any other questions or discussion? You ready to vote on the amendment to $8,000? The amendment is to change the amount of $5,000 to $8,000. All those in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Okay, the amendment passes. We're going to move back to the article. Any more discussion on the article? John?
I'm just curious if the extra $3,000, which appears to be needed, will affect the amount of surplus we have. We've got a lot of separate articles about surplus. I know they go in order of precedence. So the first one we voted on gets the money, and then so forth. How much surplus do we have? My math's about $208,000 we're asking for. Can we cover it?
Yeah, so right now, our unassigned fund is $1,227,948. The articles that we have in here that come from unassigned is $207,640, so that would be increased to $210,640, which would leave us about $1,017,308, which would put us at 14%, which is what DRA recommends, between 7 and 17, I think. And I think that's comfortable. I would not feel comfortable going any lower than that.
No, I'm glad we got the math down. Appreciate that.
Any other questions or discussion on this article?
Move to vote.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and vote. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $8,000 to add to the existing expendable trust fund for the purpose of treating milfoil and other exotic aquatic species, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised by taxation, a majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The article passes. Article 21, to see if the town, Jim. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be added to the Old Town Hall Capital Reserve Fund previously established, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised by taxation, majority vote required. Is there a motion? John Quinn, seconded by Janet Kayla. Questions, discussion? You want to vote? Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be added to the Old Town Hall Capital Reserve Fund previously established, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised by taxation. A majority vote is required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be placed in the Police Gear and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund previously established, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised by taxation. Majority vote required. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Roxanne, seconded by John Quinn. Discussion, questions? John?
I see by the report, this would double our amount of equipment. I was curious to know what you guys need, or whether it's the future you're saving away from.
So this article, or this warrant was put together last year, because upon taking over as the chief, such as our portable radios at that point were, some were sufficient, some were not. Although these are a tiny piece of our workload, they're a very expensive piece of our workload. On average, you're talking anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 per radio, and we didn't have funding set up for that. Tasers, another prime example. It's not something that you're going to replace every single year, but when the time does come, because they're electronic and electronics fail, technology gets better, it's nice to have a little bit of money put away for some of those, not necessarily annual expenditures, but something where maybe a 5 to 10, 15, 20-year expenditure is. So we put that together last year for that. And then the other thing is ballistic vests. There was government funding out there. Hopefully that will come back in the coming years. I know this past year that the grants never opened up for it, but a ballistic vest alone is $1,800. And each officer has one, and they have a 5-year shelf life. If they get shot, then they're immediately, rendered inoperable, and we need to replace immediately. But a ballistic vest lifespan is 5 years.
Thank you. We have small but mighty police, fire, and Department of Public Works, EMTs. These guys do great things. These girls do great things. They're awesome. I think it's great to support them. They support us. So I appreciate all the hard work. You guys put in the long hours. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dave Mayer, resident. Would this be possible to be used for a K-9 program, and your thoughts on such program?
I don't recall the exact wording. It's possible. I know when the warrant article was originally put together, it was fairly vague in its expenditure language, which left us the availability to use it for a variety of different needs amongst the department. Most of the time, those programs can be funded typically through grants. Obviously, once the program is up and running, then you have the expenditures for care of the dog, et cetera. So to answer that question clearly, I'm not 100% sure on that language, but as far as a program goes, it is something the town of Middleton had before, and I wouldn't be opposed to exploring it. It's a great retention and recruitment tool, and it's not something that I would just completely throw off the table. I would be open to discussion on it.
To legals, would that be covered under this?
I'm sorry, I'm not catching this.
To legal, that would be covered potentially by the wording of this?
I can't answer that because I don't have the language of
Okay.
what was adopted.
Gear and equipment?
Hold on, so the fund itself, the description of the fund is gonna describe what the money's gonna be spent for, correct?
Right.
So that's something that, if anybody has here, I don't know.
I know that when we set this up, the language was basically police equipment. I believe was the actual language that was utilized. So I guess I would leave it to interpretation. One could conclude that a K-9 would definitely be a piece of equipment, depending on the program. But again, that's kind of one of those, it's all dependent upon interpretation.
To cover that, would it be possible to change the wording of this police gear, equipment / K-9, some wording of that?
I don't think necessarily we could change this article on the language of
Let's,
purchasing.
counsel, if we,
No, you can't change the purpose of the fund by amending this article.
can't change the purpose of the fund, I think the question is, can we change the language of the article to include the fund and additional means, is what
Wording.
I'm kind of hearing.
You could add, yes, you could add K-9 program.
I would like to propose amending this to police gear and equipment, capital reserve fund to include a K-9, possible K-9 program. Would that work for you?
So you want it to read police gear, equipment, and K-9 program, capital reserve fund?
Yeah, that way it would be inclusive.
I don't know, I'm just asking.
No, hold on. So right now, the article reads $20,000 to be placed in the fire gear and equipment capital reserve fund.
10,000.
What I'm hearing is
10,000.
adding in another expenditure within this is
No,
K-9.
just to include police gear and equipment, to include wording for K-9. I'm not sure how the legal wording on that would be.
I don't think we can change the fund. We
Yeah.
can, I'm,
Can't change the defined, can't change the defined
Can't change the
label
amendment.
of the fund.
But in your opinion, K-9 would be, quote, equipment?
Well, I think any gear that you bought once you got the K-9 could be considered gear. The actual obtaining of a K-9, I don't know necessarily that you could expect from this one.
Okay. You see what I'm trying to do here?
I understand what you're trying to get at. So
Yeah.
what I'm going to say is that the fund is the fund, right? That's it. And
Yeah.
whatever the language is, what they expend it is it, the amount, period. What I'm hearing from you is you have a desire to see
Oh, yeah.
if a K-9 type system could be put into this, these monies could also be put
Because
towards
it's a
that.
budget item line, police gear and equipment. That goes into the budget item
Maybe you
line,
can help
that
me out.
line, correct?
Yeah. If the department, if the town decides to adopt a K-9 program, the money in this fund would be available for all of the equipment necessary. I don't know if that would cover the dog.
Yeah.
But everything else that you would need for a K-9 program would fall under the general label of equipment.
So in other words, it wouldn't cover the dog, but it would cover the dog's equipment, feeding.
Training materials.
Training, yes, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm acceptable with that then.
room and board.
Under, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, so you're not proposing any amendment to the article? Okay. I heard you say taser. I couldn't help but hear in my head, "Don't tase me, bro." But anyways, I don't know if anybody else is thinking that. But Janet, go ahead.
Wording on the capital reserve fund or expendable trust fund, or whatever you want to phrase it, is just as it's written here, the gear and equipment. Now, they want to change the trust fund, that can't be done till next year, not today, can't be done till next year. And it has to run through DRA first.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Linda?
Linda Adamo, resident. As a dog lover, I'm going to say a police dog is gear. It's not personnel. What else do we have? We have personnel, and we have gear, and we have vehicles. Dog, a police dog, I think is gear. You use it the way you would use, instead of shooting a gun at somebody, you send raven, rest his soul. So, I think, I'm not loud enough. Jeez,
Not like the old days, you're not.
I don't know, let me do my trainer voice. Okay, so I think either a dog is either personnel or gear. It's not personnel.
I would agree with your statement. This is kind of something that has just fallen on me.
Right,
over the last
but I mean, I think, and I think my little 17-pound Rosie will be more than happy to volunteer to help.
So I don't think this is anything that we can resolve here. The only thing that the
Well, I
legislative
think
body.
it's already included in the terminology of police gear and equipment. I think a police dog is either gear or equipment.
All right, but I think that's nothing that can be decided here. If there's somebody wants to
I don't think we
contest
have to
it or
change.
agree with it, that'd be outside of this, outside the purview of this meeting. John?
Whether or not the police dog is equipment or personnel or what you classify as, the chief didn't bring forth that he needed a police dog when we have a vacant officer spot. Didn't talk about that either, but he brought forward things that they needed this year or the future. Now, if they want to investigate whether we need a police dog in the area, maybe the county, I'm not sure, but yeah, I think we should move the question.
Any other questions or discussion on this article? Would you like to vote? Yes. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be placed in the police gear and equipment capital reserve fund previously established, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised by taxation, majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be placed in the fire gear and equipment capital reserve fund previously established, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised by taxation, majority vote required. Do I hear a motion? John Quinn?
I'll second.
Tim, second. Discussion, questions on this article? Anyone other than John Quinn? John, go ahead.
Chief, I'm good for the walking. I need the exercise. Chief, how are we doing with equipment? I see we have 10,000 in the account. Is this for future gear? And what do you think, what are you guys thinking about purchasing in the future? What is the needs?
Yeah, so this is for gear and radios. So let me back up a little bit. So I'm Deputy Chief Manchester. Chief Willer had to step out, so I'm going to do the best I can to cover your question there. So this is for radios and gear. So the turnout gear is kind of a complicated thing. As you can imagine, it saved our lives when we go into structure fires. So we're doing pretty good now. Each gear set is specifically sized to the individual. So you're looking at anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 to outfit somebody with gear. we do a pretty good job at being able to maintain the gear that we have. So all gear has a 10-year shelf life. So we do a good job at saving the gear, taking care of the gear, so we can pass it on to other members. But you get somebody with a different body size and stuff like that, then you have to buy them a set of gear to be able to properly fit them into a structure fire. So we are in the process of getting 5 new certified people. They're in the program now. So chances are we're going to have to set them up with new set of gear once we, because the gear that they're using to go through training and stuff like that, right now they cannot go into a structure fire. Once they're able to go into a structure fire, they're going to have a new set of gear size to them. Hopefully, long story short, that answers your question.
Any other questions or discussion? Ready to vote? Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be placed in the Fire Gear and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund previously established, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised by taxation, majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Just a quick alert, hon, the microwave was just delivered by Amazon. Article 24, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be used to purchase a cardiac monitor, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised by taxation, majority vote required. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
John, Quinn, seconded by Joe Bailey. Discussion, questions? Joe?
This is obvious for the ambulance.
Correct.
Is there any trade-in value for the old one?
Yes. So by the time, so we're hoping if this passes, we'll purchase a new one. So we'll get to trade in our old one, and it'll be $57,000 difference by the time we trade the new one, our old one in.
What was the difference?
I don't know what the new one cost. Do you remember off the top of your head? I'd say 60 to 70,000 for a new one.
So there's a trade-in value. Okay.
Yep.
And as time goes on, what happens? Does that trade-in value, I would imagine, diminishes?
Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion? You ready to vote? Article 24, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 to be used to purchase a cardiac monitor, with said funds to come from the unassigned fund balance. No amount to be raised by taxation. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The article passes. We have 6 more articles to go, 6 or 7. Does anybody, we want to take a break? We're going to keep on going. Keep going, okay. I usually like to put the 2-hour mark in. Article. Yes, the Recreation Committee has snacks out there, and I think they have a donation bucket as well to help out. Article 25, pursuant to RSA 72:28, to see if the town will vote to increase the optional veterans tax credit to $750. Majority vote required. Motion. John Quinn by John, seconded by Joe Bailey. Questions, discussion. John?
Just a question, what's the current amount, what's the process to be eligible for this, and how many people in town take advantage of this process? I'm one of them, for the record, but.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Robin, I'm looking to you. Currently, it's $400? Correct. I don't know how many take advantage of the option. Maybe Robin could speak to that.
I had to guess, I'd say probably about 40 or 50.
40 or 50 is what she's saying.
Any other questions or discussion? Joanne?
I noticed that in the town report, it mentioned something like 88 persons who were listed as veterans and a total of 93. I think there's something about elderly or disability. I'm just curious as to what effect this has on other persons in the town. Obviously, the town manages its budget on tax revenue, and by decreasing the amount of revenue received from veterans, does this have an adverse effect on anyone else in the town?
Obviously, if we offer the credit and the credit is taken, then we have to make up for that credit, and it gets placed into it would be part of the tax increase as far as, but I think our opinion is of such that, you're all veterans or people who exercise it. It's a small piece that we can, pay back for the price that you've all paid for serving the country. So that's my personal opinion.
Joe?
Just a curiosity question, Mike, maybe he knows this, but is this a per person tax credit or a household?
It's a household, isn't it?
Household, yeah.
Household.
Well, wait a minute, no, you're, no.
Okay.
I'm looking. I'm wrong. It's per person, if there's two vets in a household, they both get the deduction.
Oh, I didn't realize that myself.
And I did want to add one thing, though. If we do vote in the all veterans, it needs to be the same amount as the optional.
Which is the next article, Article 26.
Yeah, but, and one more thing, I don't know if that affects anybody's decision. One more thing is that, if you get the disabled credit, you cannot also get the all veterans. So keep that in mind, too. Right now, the disabled is 2,000. If you vote to raise it, they're not getting the all veterans. That makes sense?
Yeah, actually, could you talk in the microphone so everybody can hear it?
Both points?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, so if we do vote in the all veterans credit for $750, we have to have the same for the optional and standard. They both have to be the same amount, the optional and standard and the all veterans. Okay, the other thing is the disabled. If somebody's getting the disabled, they do not get the all veterans or optional now. And that's the state law, that just changed. Make sense?
Those are, so Article 25 is for the optional veterans tax credit, which is proposing $750. Article 26 is the all veterans tax credit, which is $750. And what Robin is saying is if we make the all veterans tax credit $750, the optional has to be $750 as well. So maybe we should have reversed those. And then later down in the article, Article 28 will be one to increase the disabled veterans tax credit to $4,000 from $2,000. And currently, or prior to, I should say, is you could do disabled and optional and get the combination of those two. But the state has changed that, and now if you're going to get disabled, that's all you're going to get. But still, if we increase it to $4,000, it'd be more than what you were getting if you were to add in the other two. Did that help, Joanne?
Okay, so thank you. Back to Article 25. If you,
Andrea Levesque, I was wondering what the difference between optional veterans and all veterans is.
The optional veterans, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but
The optional veterans is something that we have now, and you need to have served during certain periods during combat. The all veterans is just what it says. All veterans, whether or not you served in combat.
Joanne?
So if I understand it, optional veterans is the one that is a certified veterans by the federal standards, so having served in a war environment. But the all veterans would be if you served in the military, whether you had qualified as a veteran's exemption.
correct.
Is that what I understand?
Yes, I'm going to look to Robin, but yes, I believe that's to be correct.
All right, so it's a question between optional and,
Yeah.
all right. The other thing is, speaking as a veteran, I would just like to say I would empathize and understand for people who, for whatever reason, wanted to serve in the military and could not because of family obligations or because of some physical condition or whatever. So I do feel for those people that would like to have served and could not. And as a veteran, I feel very, well, just very honored to be recognized. Thank you.
So just to add, the optional veterans tax credit is a wartime type, and there is a list of, different theaters of operation which qualify, and you can find that on the federal and medals, on the federal or state website. So, good.
Christina Brisson. I'm just wondering what other towns do for their amounts.
Yep. So I have here in front of me our surrounding towns, Milton, Farmington, New Durham, are all offering $750 for this.
Any other questions or discussion? Would you like to vote? Yes. Article 25, pursuant to RSA 72:28, to see if the town will vote to increase the optional veterans tax credit to $750. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Article 26, pursuant to RSA 72:28-B, to see if the town will vote to adopt the all veterans tax credit in the amount of $750. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? John Quinn, seconded by Janet Kalar. Questions, discussion? Want to move the vote? Yes. Article 26, pursuant to RSA 72:28-B, to see if the town will vote to adopt the all veterans tax credit in the amount of $750. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Stand up with us, Roy. Okay. Article 27, pursuant to RSA 72:29-A, to see if the town will vote to increase the veterans tax credit for surviving spouse to $1,000. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? John Quinn, seconded. Bonnie Gagnon. Discussion, questions?
Move it.
Wow.
That's the term. Question.
You give me flashbacks, Linda.
I know. Good old schoolwork.
Article 27, pursuant to RSA 72:29-A, to see if the town will vote to increase the veterans tax credit for surviving spouse to $1,000. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Article 28, pursuant to RSA 72:35, to see if the town will vote to increase the veterans tax credit for service-connected total disability to $4,000. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? John Quinn, seconded by Janet Kalar. Questions, discussion? Want to vote? Article 28, pursuant to RSA 72:35, to see if the town will vote to increase the veterans tax credit for service-connected total disability to $4,000. Majority vote required. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The article passes. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to add and merge the following town property to the existing town forest under RSA 31:110, to be managed by the Town Conservation Commission under the provisions of RSA 31:112, 2, and to authorize the placement of any proceeds which may accrue from said forest management into the Conservation Fund, which shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year as provided by RSA 31:113. Majority vote required. Is there a motion? John Quinn, seconded by Janet Kalar. The one thing I want to probably point out is I just want to because it said majority vote required. I also want to read off the three maps.
Wait a
Map,
minute, I have an amendment to the map 11, lot 1, sublot 1, should be sublot 15. Back in 21, map 11, 1, map 11, lot 1, sublot 1, and map 11, lot 1, sublot 15 were combined together, and they became apparently 11, 1, 15, not 11, 1, 1. So it should be map 11, lot 1, sublot 15.
so there was a merged lot, it was a
Yes.
merged lot.
Yes,
Is
it's a
what
merged
occurred.
lot. Yep.
And it resulted in it becoming 15.
Correct.
Okay. Any discussion? Was there discussion? I'm not sure. Okay?
Yeah, would it, would it make it even better if for the record that we put that it was map 11, lot 1, sublot 15, previously lots 11, 1-1 and 11, 1 and 15, and then the approximately 214
Legal
acres?
says it's not necessary, Kate.
No,
It's
not
just-
necessary. As long as that's all in the record, it's not necessary, then
So-
I'm good with that. Thank
So
you.
Roy,
just to-
make sure you
to-
get that,
Just
not
to
necessary.
clarify, the property tax record indicates map 11, lot 1, sublot 15 as both of these lots now.
Correct, and I have
Okay,
the merger paperwork here.
okay. So that's the amendment on the floor. Any further discussion on the amendment? Ready to vote?
Yep.
Okay, so we're amending
Kate,
the language in this article from map 11, lot 1, sublot 1 to map 11, lot 1, sublot 15. All those in favor of this amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the amendment passes. Any further discussion on Article 29 or questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and vote. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to add and merge the following town property to the existing town forest under RSA 31:110 to be managed by the Town Conservation Commission under the provisions of RSA 31:112, paragraph 2, and to authorize the placement of any proceeds which may accrue from said forest management into the Conservation Fund, which shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year as provided by RSA 31:113, a majority vote required. The lots are map 26, lot 31, approximately 8.5 acres on Moose Mountain Road, map 26, lot 31, sublot 1, approximately 8.1 acres on Moose Mountain Road, and map 11, lot 1, sublot 15, approximately 214 acres off Droof Drive, also known as Jesse Mountain. All those in favor of this article, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the article passes. Article 30. Linda?
Checklist would like to make a comment at this point. She's surprised.
Percentages of voters today, we had 5% of our voters came out today to vote. And Monday, 25% came out to vote, all registered voters in town.
The percentages of today were how many?
5%.
5% today, and 25% Monday. 23%. And I guess the request by the supervisor, enter that into the record, that 23% attended the first meeting and 5% on the second today.
Can I make a motion that we not reconsider any of the previous articles voted on?
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor not to reconsider any previous articles on the floor. Second. Seconded by John Sindorf. Discussion or questions on that motion? Joanne?
On the merging of those lots, we just voted that all of the monies,
I want to point out that we've already closed that article.
yes, I understand. But
Okay.
she's asking if we can revisit any of these.
No, right now, what the
So
motion
I
on the
just have
floor.
a question about the revision, about revisiting.
Okay, yep.
if we have a question about revisiting one of these articles, I have a question about this one in particular. If we cannot revisit it, they're asking that all of the revenue from the forestry management be kept by that particular department. Please consider that there could be considerable revenue accumulated by that. So do we want to not revisit these articles, or do we want to consider the possibility that there may be some questions?
So that's what, the motion on the floor right now is whether we are going to allow reconsideration of the articles. That's the motion on the floor.
Well, just
Any other-
reconsideration for today's meeting. So we can always come back at another meeting and reconsider where that money is coming from, correct?
At what kind of meeting? This year or when?
The motion on the floor would only prevent a vote today to go back and reconsider any of the articles that have already been voted on. It would not prevent a future meeting from going back and changing how the Article 29, how the money was allocated, or who's going to be in charge of it.
But that reconsideration needs to be by petition by whom?
We need to read by motion, by the selectmen putting on the warrant, or petition from the community.
But my understanding, I believe, and unless the law has changed, that it has to be somebody that either voted in favor of or against the article.
Someone who voted in favor of the article.
Has to be the one that has to vote
Yes,
for reconsideration.
anyone who voted in favor.
Okay. And in this case, if I heard correctly on 29, as a point of, it was unanimous, so anyone in this room could.
Correct.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion on the motion on the floor to not reconsider articles? This is like, the motion on the floor by Roxanne was not to reconsider any of the previous articles. And that would mean from when we started, I think it would be Article 4 to Article 29.
Correct.
Not to reconsider, which they could be still reconsidered according to council, and I believe is correct, by anyone that voted in favor of any of those articles previously noted. Any more discussion? I don't want Kate to go into cardiac arrest. I know we talk about the AED and everything. All right, she's been on the Conservation Commission. How many years now? Probably like 30 or more?
Yep.
All right. Motion on the floor is not to reconsider any articles, which would be for Articles 4 through 29. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? I have some super beats in my pocket if you want some. Okay. All right. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to rescind, repeal, and render void in its entirety the Select Board ordinance entitled, quote, Pets in Public Buildings, unquote, adopted pursuant to RSA 31:39, including all sections, findings, purposes, applicability, provisions, and enforcement language therein, and to replace it with the following policy. Dogs, cats, and other pets shall be permitted in town-owned public buildings, including the town hall, provided that such animals are leashed or otherwise under the immediate control of their owner or handler at all times. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Are you making a motion?
My name is Kevin Gould.
Okay, and hold on. Are you seconding the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Tim Cremens. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, pursuant to RSA 40:4-A, I have a request for a secret ballot with required signatures.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what this is for.
Mr. Moderator, friends and neighbors,
Hold on a
speaking.
second. Hold on. Yep, so there's five. Is that how many do you need? Five. You need five? But they need to be present.
Is everybody on the list here?
Pardon me?
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, the five legitimate
Could Andrea
signatures, thank
step
you.
out to prepare secret ballot?
Pardon me?
Okay, sorry.
You talking to me?
Nope, I was talking to
Okay.
Linda. Go ahead.
I'm speaking in support of warrant Article 30, which simply rescinds the ordinance banning dogs from Town Hall. This article is not about turning Town Hall into a dog park. It's about removing an unnecessary blanket prohibition and trusting our community to use common sense. In many towns across New Hampshire, residents occasionally bring a well-behaved dog with them when they stop by town offices or attend a meeting. It happens quietly without incident without becoming a problem. Our current ordinance assumes the opposite. It assumes the presence of any dog is automatically an issue. We already have laws that deal with real concerns: aggressive dogs, uncontrolled animals, sanitation, nuisance behavior. These rules don't disappear if this article passes. Rescinding this ordinance simply restores a reasonable balance. Responsible owners remain responsible. If a dog causes a disturbance, it can be removed. If it becomes a problem, existing laws already address that. Town Hall belongs to the residents of this community. For many people, dogs are a part of daily life. Allowing a well-behaved dog to accompany its owner occasionally is not radical or disruptive. It's normal in many places. This article asked us to replace a rigid rule with practical judgment. For those reasons, I encourage you to vote yes on Article 30. My name is Kevin Houle, Houle, for the record. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? John? Oh, no, lady in front.
Andrea Levesque. I just had a question. Town-owned public buildings, does that include a school? Because don't we own the school too?
No.
Okay, that's why, okay. All right.
Linda?
I'd like to offer an amendment to add to the end of that sentence, the cost to remedy any damage caused by said pets will be borne by the pet's owner.
Could you say that again, please?
In addition to the existing proposed language, add to the end, the cost to remedy any damage caused by said pets will be borne by the pet's owner.
I want to make sure I get the language right. The
Petition warrant article. Can you amend somebody's petition warrant article? This is by petition.
Andrea is asking,
Yep.
since this is a petition warrant article, can it be amended?
Can a petition warrant article be amended, I guess is the question. Yeah. Can be.
Well,
So I want to make sure I get your language correct on the motion, Linda.
Would you be willing to accept that as a friendly amendment? Would you be willing to accept that as a friendly amendment?
I think a pet owner should be responsible for the pet's own actions.
So,
I mean, certainly.
yeah, you have to have an argument with it.
Okay, so I want to, Tim, I'm asking to clarify, I want to make sure I understand Linda correctly, because I'm just trying to get it all written down. The cost
The cost
of remedying damage.
The cost to remedy any damage caused by said pets will be borne by the pet's owner.
Do you have that written down?
I certainly do.
Hold on. I'm going to do it the new way. I remember, you did great handwriting, I remember that. And it's in cursive. All right, why didn't the picture come in? Try it again. Oh, wait a minute. Pictures came, I'm sorry. Got distracted. Okay, so the amendment is costs to remedy any damage caused by said pets will be borne by the pet's owner. Any discussion on that amendment? Joanne?
Does that include liability to the town?
What do you mean by liability to the town? Like clarification.
Would the town be liable for anything?
Liable for it? Oh, if the dog bit someone, would the town be liable?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Would that also be included in the word damage?
Potentially, yes.
So by doing that, that would relieve the town?
No.
Okay. It would not. It would not relieve the town of liability. Any other discussion? You-
Can the town afford?
Could you state your name, please?
Tony Canfield, can we afford if somebody brings their dog in and it bites someone and the town is liable, can we afford it? No.
Insurance, that's an insurance issue. We do have insurance coverage, but as well as you know, the more claims you process, the more your premium goes up.
Roby? We wish, but no. I'm sorry, can you?
Hi, I'm Vicki Croto. My concern is there are a lot of people that have allergies. How will the town handle those people? Because they're not going to be able to come into the offices.
Anybody want to address that, or? Kevin?
If I could ask Chief Ferguson, how many dog bite situations have we had in the town? How often has this town been sued? And what about the personal responsibility of the dog owner? I mean, you know, how often do people get bit by dogs in this town?
I can tell you that in 2025, I can't give you the exact number, but I would say you're probably in the ballpark of.
Microphone.
I can't give you the exact number because some go unreported, but when people do go to the hospital, it's a mandate to report. I can tell you in 2025 in the town of Middleton, it was somewhere between 4 and 6 dog bites that were reported to us through the hospital.
And they were like on town-owned?
They weren't necessarily, that's just reported to us where the bite occurred in our municipality. Exactly where it occurred, it could have been at somebody's residence. As far as in the town hall, there's no reports that I'm aware of for dog bite.
You know, it's like we're chasing after something Annie shot at and missed. You know, you can't fix it if it's not broken. And like I said, it's not to turn town hall into a doggy park. It's just, you know, to go into, when you're paying your taxes or whatever, to have a dog with you. You come and go. I mean, you know, I don't know. It just seems like the rule, the ordinance just seemed too draconian and just a bit too much over the top. Yeah, that's my opinion.
John, and then we'll go to the other John. You.
First, okay.
Sindorf.
Jonathan Sindorf. My concern is when you're blanketly just saying we can have pets be under the supervision of their owners. I've seen owners exercise that kind of supervision in the stores in our area not very well. Who polices this? And how is that part of their job to police it? I'm guessing it's the person who also has to do numerous things in their office. Who is it keeping from conducting town business as a dog owner? Nobody, because we already have the the exemption for people who have a service dog. It's a thing that I just think has become a little ridiculous. It's become bigger than it needs to, and I'm a longtime dog owner, dog lover. I've had every manner of pet in our home. But you know what? We never brought them to the town hall. We didn't need to.
John, and then Tracy.
My concern, as the chief brought up, there was a couple in the town, so people's yards, streets, et cetera, parks. The town offices are not that big. I mean, even here, it's not that big. If you get several dogs, much like several kids running around, it'll cause a distraction. And I've got nothing against kids and dogs, but then it's distracting town business. People would like to get in, conduct their business, both on this side of the window and that side of the window. I think this is just necessary. It's just unnecessary distraction. Now, I know people love their dogs. Some people need to have a service animal. We've also heard a lot of incidents, and these could be true or not, about people with weird animals that they need to have around. I don't need to bring a service llama to pay my taxes. I don't have one. I don't need one. Some people do. It's good for them. But I don't want to have a distraction. I want to conduct business in the town, pay my money, say hello, read the flyers, and be on my way. I don't want a giant Newfoundland and a St. Bernard charging down the halls at each other because someone dropped the ball. And it could just be friendly animals, never mind an animal fight. And some dogs do not get along, no matter how good they are, no matter how good the owners are. And it's not about dog breeds, just sometimes dogs disagree. And there's a small corridor in the town offices. And then what would you do? I mean, you're going to call the police to get in between two dogs? I mean, then you could, but then you get liability for the police. I mean, I know our mining department of 2 would be fine handling that, but then we'd have an injury, then town open liability. But I'll leave it up to the voters. Thank you.
Tracy?
I just want to say this has been an ongoing issue. Years ago, we had a fire department member who actually had a dog bowl down in the conference room in the municipal building. They visited a lot. We've had another employee. I will say, if anybody has been to the Old Town Hall recently, since Roy has taken over, it looks fabulous. It's been repainted. The carpet, the whole building was carpet, was ripped up and a beautiful floor has been put down. We have just voted to have that done in the selectman's office, the secretary's office, and the conference room. I've only been on the board for 3 years, but I have seen a dog pee in the secretary's office, the selectman's office, all through the hallway, in the conference room, and not just one, many. And we had an employee who was knocked almost down the stairs by a dog running through the building. So if you have your doors open, which our employees should be allowed to do, and someone does not have their dog on a leash, it's an issue for safety of our employees.
So just for clarification, but you said Old Town Hall, but all the
I meant-
descriptions
yeah,
you gave.
sorry, Town Hall.
Sounds like municipal office.
Municipal building.
Okay.
And we knew this was obviously coming up from the petition. We did reach out to our lawyers, and I just wanted to read the statement that Mike wrote. In my opinion, if this one passes, it would be adversary only because the selectmen have jurisdiction over all real property owned by the town and regulates it under RSA. So just so you are aware of that. Advisory, yes. Yeah.
It's an advisory by council.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
Oh.
Give them this.
If this passes, it would not be binding on the Board of Selectmen, it would be advisory only.
Okay. Did everybody understand that? This would be, in other words, what council is saying is that statute dictates that the selectmen govern the properties of the town. So if this passes, it is merely advisory. It is not enforceable by the legislative body, which is you. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Jim?
So my question is...
Can you come up to the microphone? That way Roxanne doesn't have to tell you.
My question is, if you're an employee of the town and one of your fellow employees decides they're going to bring his dog or her dog to work, or any other animal for that matter, and you don't want that dog there, say you're allergic to dog, whatever reason, doesn't really matter. And I'd like to go on the record as saying I'm a dog lover. If I had my way, there'd be puppies in every friggin' building over there. But I'm just wondering, who are you bound to? So if one person doesn't want a dog in the building and two other people do, how does the town have to react to that employee? Because this is, where people work. And I believe most of these issues came from other workers having problems with dogs being in the building. Personally, I don't, but I believe that's where it started. I'd just like maybe even a legal answer to that.
Questions? Discussion? No?
You're saying there's a liability if there's a dog in there and bites someone, right?
That's how I'm...
So that, what if Chief Ferguson picks up a dog and he bites him, dog running down the road, now we're liable for that too? So if saying there's not a lot of the town hall, we gotta keep them out of every vehicle, we're taking liability.
If a police officer got bit in the performance of his duties, it'd be a workers' compensation claim.
What about the dog that someone drops off or finds on the side of the road, we're just leave them outside?
No, I mean, it doesn't prevent the officers from performing their duties. It's just that if an officer gets injured in the performance of their duties, whether it's a dog or anything else, it's a potential workers' compensation insurance claim.
Where's the dog get staged then if it gets found down on the roads? It better not be in the building if they pass it.
I think the answer you're looking
Chief.
for is liability no matter what.
Speaking of the microphone, please.
Josh, it's a liability no matter what. So if you're talking about the dog that I took into the selectman's office, dropped off at the selectman's office, yes, it's a liability no matter what. There's no change in that.
Chief, do you want to talk about, I guess, in general liability and...
Sure.
If we have a dog, do we have a dog officer? I don't...
So
I don't know.
we do not have an animal control officer. Our officers handle all animal control complaints that come into the department. Currently, we have an agreement with the Humane Society down in Dover, New Hampshire, but obviously that's a little bit of a travel time. So we typically try to give a brief time period between when a dog is located or dropped off to us before we actually bring it to Dover. Because 9 times out of 10, usually within 15, 20 minutes to a half hour, the owner is located through social media or other platforms of putting it out there. But sometimes, yes, that dog comes into the building. Sometimes that dog will remain outside. It all depends on staffing and availability. We do not have an outside kennel. That is something that I think we should probably look to this upcoming year. But yes, in the job function, as part of our job function through policy, procedure, and statute, if somebody does come down to turn in a found dog, that dog may end up inside the police department, yes.
Yes. Colleen, can you come up?
What would this mean for our rabies clinics at the fire department? Would that be covered anymore? Because I know personally for us, that's where we bring all of our dogs, so.
Good question. Okay. Can you come up, Mike, and state your name?
Mike Lavalette. My understanding is that the rabies clinic insurance or liability, since I was chief at one point, was that it was covered by the rabies clinic. So any liability or anything else that they would take the responsibility because they're putting it on. They're just using our space at that point.
I would again say that...
Are you countering what Mike has to say?
I absolutely am. I would again say that the town would take on any liability. It's on town property. So maybe that would be an event that would have to be reconsidered.
Janet?
What happens if you have people in there doing their business and they've got their animals, and you've got 2 dogs in there, dog and a cat, whatever, they get into a fight, somebody's gonna get hurt. What happens?
Hopefully the strongest one wins.
Yeah, very
Linda?
I think this is a solution for a problem that really doesn't exist. The people that this is going to affect the most are the people who meet at Old Town Hall on Wednesday morning, the vintage villagers, senior citizens. There are two of us that bring our dogs. They're small dogs, they get along with each other. We've never had an issue. Jim has been in there, Tim has been in there and seen them. I think this whole thing is a result of a problem that existed with an employee who is no longer here. And I think we're making a mountain out of a molehill. I think people are responsible enough that if you have a dog, I had a dog who didn't like men. She would bite any guy that walked in the house. My poor brothers, their shoes were always scuffed. The poor guy who did my kitchen every morning, she would tear his feet apart. I would never have brought Chica to a public building knowing how she was. My little Rosie that I have now, she doesn't want anybody to touch her. She's very shy. She lets Jim touch her. He's the only one that can pet her. I think we're looking for a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. I think we're getting a bit crazed about this. I can't imagine that anybody who owns a dog that is either overly, those of us who've been here a long time, we remember Roger Maine's monstrous, huge dog that used to go to every meeting that Roger was at. That dog weighed as much as I do. He was the sweetest thing in the earth. I think we're making a big deal out of something that is not an issue. And I say that as a responsible dog owner. I've owned dogs that have been sketchy, like Chica was. She was little, but she was evil. And I've owned sweethearts. And I can't imagine that a dog owner who has a dog that has a questionable personality would be bringing it to a town meeting around strange people anyway. I think this is a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. I think we're getting carried away with it. I think if people are willing to accept responsibility, that should be enough.
Heather?
Thank you, Heather Kremen. To me, it boils down to what the town community values. We're not talking about employees bringing it. This is the public at large. Are they allowed to bring their dogs into the public buildings when they're conducting town business? You, as a select board, have a right to import any policies when it comes to the employees that you have, that they're not allowed to bring dogs to work unless they have a disability and it's a disability dog. But I think in terms of whether or not we as a community are closing the doors to pets or whether we are keeping it open. There are many town halls where people in those buildings bring their pets to work every day. It's about the culture and environment that we want to encourage as a community. So I think that's really where it defines who we are as a town and what we value.
So I'm just going to bring back what council provided advisory on about the statutory requirement. And what's that statute? If you could provide that to us. And I guess what I get at is that there's a lot of commentary, a lot of discussion that the selectmen are hearing that certainly I would recommend they take into consideration. But
So RSA 4111A provides that the select board shall have authority to manage all real property owned by the town and to regulate its use unless such management and regulation is delegated to other public officers by vote of the town or is governed by other statutes, including but not limited to, and then there's a series of other statutes referenced.
all right, I just want to bring that up. So, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, no, I agree with this lady. I didn't get her name, but I agree with her 100%. You know, it's not, I have 5 dogs. Would I bring them with me anywhere on town? No, absolutely not. They're home by the wood stove. That's not the point. The point is, in my opinion, it was government overreach. It was kind of like, well, we're going to do this. And you know, it's really a lesson in civics. Whether it passes, it passes, it does, or it doesn't, it doesn't. I just thought that it was kind of a tyrannical thing to do, to make an ordinance like that, in my opinion. And so it was complete government overreach. The property is all owned by us taxpayers, we the people, and we the people are in charge.
Roby? Oh, no. Roby. Please, Roby, your job.
Just my 2 cents on this. I think this gives the balance of, hey, if something wrong happens when a dog's in the town-owned public buildings, there's the precedent to say, hey, this is a rule. Yes, you're a very responsible dog owner, but something happened. Whereas if you allow dogs, cats, and other pets in, something happens, it's a bit more vague, a bit more amorphous. So I think this is less of a, we don't like dogs. It's more of, we have speed limits because if you're over the speed limit and something happens, okay, here's what we're to look to and say, here's why we put this in place in the first place. That would be my 2 cents.
Joe?
So basically,
Joe?
Come on, Joe, you're gonna.
You need
One time, Joe.
you can use the steps.
Yeah. So basically, look, selectmen are voted in to be the stewards of the town property. That's what we elect them for, okay? They're doing the due diligence in basically protecting town property. No matter what you say, dog bite, don't bite, whatever, the liability is going to be on the town, and I don't think anybody here who owns a dog, not that I'm an anti-dog, I'd love to have one myself, if you take that responsibility and they go into town hall, basically, and that dog bites or does something like that, you're putting the onus on the taxpayers of this town for the liability it's going to cost to pay that claim. All right? You shouldn't put us in that position. It's not your individual right to have that dog should not be on us to pay for it if something happens. Okay? That's a personal thing that you want to choose. No matter what you say, liability-wise, the town is going to be involved, whether you have a vet clinic, whatever. The town will be named in that lawsuit no matter what. Am I wrong? Okay? Don't put the liability on the rest of us that don't have dogs and do that. I mean, I have a 16-pound attack cat. I'm going to bring it down here. So.
Any other discussion or questions on this article?
Move to vote.
You ready to vote?
Yes, please.
I guess I have to back up because I've lost track. Linda made a motion for an amendment, and I believe that amendment was seconded. And did we ever vote on it? I don't think we did.
Roy, do you have who seconded Linda's motion?
I did.
Oh, Tim did.
Tim did.
I know
Okay.
you seconded the first motion, and then you seconded the, okay.
But I don't think we voted on the amendment.
No, we've been
Okay.
discussing it. Well, no,
So-
we can vote on it.
Well, we have an amendment. We have an amendment we need to address. Okay? And the amendment is to add. I'm not going to go by what I wrote because I know I got that wrong. The amendment was to add to this, to replace the following policy, to add to that, the cost to remedy any damage caused by said pets will be borne by the pet's owner. Signify by saying aye if you agree with that amendment. Aye. Those opposed, the amendment passes. So now with that added into the article, I'm just going to read it one more. If any, let me go back up. Any further discussion on the article since we passed that amendment? Okay. I'm going to read the article again, and then the supervisor of the checklist are going to take care of the secret ballot. You want everybody to line up like over by where Janet and Ken are? Okay? So you can line up over there and process your way through. I'm going to reread the article before you move. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to rescind, repeal, and render void in its entirety the Select Board ordinance entitled, quote, Pets in Public Buildings, unquote, adopted pursuant to RSA 31:39, including all sections, findings, purposes, applicability provisions, and enforcement language therein, and to replace it with the following policy. Dogs, cats, and other pets shall be permitted in town-owned public buildings, including the town hall, provided that such animals are leased or otherwise under immediate control of their owner or handler at all times. The cost to remedy any damage caused by said pets will be borne by the pet's owner. So by secret ballot, go ahead and line up. So the supervisor checklists have reported out. I do want to just ask the question, has everybody in here had the opportunity to vote? Has everybody had the opportunity to vote? We're all good? Linda or Andrea, I got a total votes of 53. How does that align with how many have registered to vote today? 65. 65?
No, 55.
55? Okay. So there's 53 people have voted. I will tell you that I'm one person that didn't vote as moderator. I elected not to vote. Okay.
Why are you here?
And you spoke on the issue, but you don't care one way or the other. Okay. All right. You're entitled to do that. Okay. So anyways, Article 30. I don't think I need to repeat it again, but just to distill it down, was to rescind and repeal the current select board's ordinance with different language. And the vote tally came in with 39 saying no, not to adopt, and 14 to say yes. So this Article 30 does not pass by secret ballot. Article 31, to transact any other business that may legally come before the meeting. John.
John Quinn again. I would like to thank Ken for volunteering. So he did very well meeting. I want to thank all the officials, the workers, everyone who put this together. A lot of work goes in this. Go to budget season, you'll find out. And this is why town meeting is so important. I know a fraction of the people come here that went to the polls, but a fraction of people serve on the board. A fraction of people are appointed. A fraction of people serve in the police force. It's just the way it is. This is the greatest way. We can make a decision right here, right now. I can talk right here, right now, and people can say yes, no, or please shut up. I will soon. But that's why town meeting is historic precedence in the city. You get your flannel shirt on, you come up here, you have your say, and anyone can challenge you. It's great. My weight here is equal to everyone else. And so I appreciate everyone who comes here every year for the first time. It's a great thing. Town meeting is an amazing thing. So I know that the numbers speak one thing, but I love having to say the same meeting we vote on it. That way we don't have to wait a month and explain to our neighbor the telephone tag of what the dog ordinance meant, or what the chief might have said. Right here we get it. It's an educated, intelligent vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Ken. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for coming out. Thank Tracy. She is stepping down from select position, and she's coming on. And congratulations to Tim and John, who have got Tim getting reelected, John coming on new. As with that note, after the meeting, if anybody who has been appointed or elected to a position, please stay back. We will have your oath of office that you can fill out, so you'll be good to go once you walk out this building. Be prepared.
So there's two that I know of, John and Roby.
And anybody else?
And Bethany.
Tim, you need to sign.
Any?
Tim.
And Tim. Any other business that you want to transact?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn at 11:59.
Is there a second? Seconded by Joe. All in favor?
Aye. That's next from the rec on there. Thank you.
Pretty sure that requires a vote.
I don't know. Let's look at last year.